Yo, what is good, everybody? Welcome back to the I Needed Sports podcast. Your host with the most, Bryce, my dog Kim. We got a special guest with us. Erik of ETOF 21 Sports is in the building, here to chop it up with some NBA. We actually haven't had Erik on in a minute, but it's always good to chop it up with him. I was just recently on his podcast Saturday or Sunday morning before the NFL games. And if you haven't heard, tonight we're doing a little special two-part podcast. We're gonna be on for the next hour talking about basketball, and then we're gonna move over to his podcast at 9. I'll drop the link to his channel in the description, and then we'll be talking NFL on there. Erik, welcome back to the pod, man.
Thanks for having me. I missed you guys. Always good chopping it up. Love when you guys get in arguments and I can kind of just sit back and witness the sweet all happen and everything.
Yeah, man. And before we do start, we got to give a shout out to our guy Chris. He's not on tonight because today is his birthday, so he's out celebrating right now. You know, we had to give him the night off since it's his day. But we appreciate y'all all tuning in, man. And yeah, we're here to chop it up about NBA. We're about two and a half weeks into the season. Of course, tonight is election night, so no games tonight, but we'll be back. Games will be back on tomorrow. But kind of throw a little random one in here because we got some more news. And funny enough, me and Erik were talking about this Sunday. Last week, Embiid got in a little bit of trouble. I guess, they said he shoved a reporter for some comments the reporter made in an article about his late brother and his son. Just came out this morning that Joel Embiid has been suspended 3 games for the altercation that occurred. There's no video that shows what happened. All we can go off is he say, she say. But apparently it was bad enough to warrant a 3-game suspension. And I think he was getting ready to return, back from his knee injury that's kind of kept him out to start the season. So going to kick it to you first, Erik. What are your thoughts on that and the suspension and maybe anything you've heard on it?
I read the article and there's no point in the excerpt that was about his deceased brother being in it. It just kind of seemed he was just taking a shot to take a shot. But with that being said, I feel both of them are in the wrong. I feel it was pointless him mentioning in the article. And I mean, Embiid shouldn't be allegedly shoving a member of the media.
What about you, Cam? I know we haven't necessarily talked about this, but I had sent it in the chat earlier. Anything for you regarding Embiid? I was gonna say, I think you muted on your end.
Yeah. My bad. Yeah, no, not really. But I mean, it's like the reporter obviously was in the wrong. Like, you can't talk about nobody's like dead family member. Like, you don't know how people react towards like stuff like that, and like just to like bring them up for like no reason. Like I said, you don't know how people going to react like that. Everyone reacts differently. But yeah, so he was definitely in the wrong, and B also was in the wrong. So you can't just put your hands on a reporter or whatever. So I mean, they both was in the wrong, but I feel like the reporter definitely was more in the wrong. So
that's fair. I was gonna say, has there been any news relative? Like, is the reporter denied access now to the Philly locker room? Anything of that nature? Like, because I would imagine you can't put him back in there at least for some time. Like, I know he's got a job to do, but I would imagine they have to revoke some type of access just until tempers kind of cool down a little bit. But I haven't heard anything. Anything on your end, Erik?
I mean, even if he is allowed, no one in the locker room is going to say anything to him.
Yeah, true.
You know what I mean? There's like literally no point of him even being in there, because if they do like Embiid, they're going to stay with his teammate and just completely just say no comment. But it also, I'm going to word this, it's kind of the state of media now. You try to say something for shock value to get clicks and likes. And I kind of feel that was a reason behind it, just because it served no point in the article. It wasn't like the article was about his brother or anything. He was about Embiid not playing and stuff like that. It literally had no point. If you read the article and just take that out, the guy gets what he's trying to say across. Now, I don't know. You can't have him in there because you just open up a can of worms for another thing to happen. And if you're the employer of the guy, what's the point of paying him to do that job just because he goes in the locker room, no one's going to talk to him.
Yeah, it's actually kind of ironic too, because to start off this year, there's the whole kind of commotion with players against media, and like certain media members are saying, doing some crazy stuff within the locker rooms, peeping toms, all sorts of stuff, and then for this altercation to come up, player privacy in the locker room has definitely become a hot topic. Like I'm in agreement with both of y'all. Both sides are wrong. Dude had no business writing about Embiid's late brother or his son. Just keep family, out of it. Make it solely about the player. But again, it's a media-driven world. Doing it for clicks. Thought he could get a couple extra views by baiting it, using that type of information. And Embiid, like, I get it. We don't know how anybody can react, but you got to know, given your stature, your image, you just can't put your hands on anybody because it's never gonna work out in your favor. Even though, I mean, like, morally, yeah, dude probably deserved to get hands put on him for what he did. But you can't do it at the end of the day. You just gotta be better than that. So yeah, both sides, that kinda sucks. Embiid, of course, suspended 3 games. I don't know what the punishment for the reporter would be or anything like that. But yeah, we're gonna start kicking it into some of these topics we got for you guys tonight for the NBA. And the first one up is we talked about this back on our NBA preview episode. I know Eric, you were commenting a bit, so I don't know if you heard a little bit of what we were saying, but I've yet to get your opinion and thoughts on it. Obviously, about what, a week or like maybe even 3 days before the season starts, blockbuster trade, Carl Anthony Towns to New York for DiVincenzo and Randall. What are your initial thoughts on this New York Minnesota trade? Do you think there was a winner? Um, and how did you view it, or when you heard the trade, what did you think would play out for both teams, and how that might change the outlook on their season this year?
I never looked back at the Knicks and said Cat was the missing piece. I'm not the biggest Cat guy at all. I think they need to get more wings. I thought they would have better just getting more wings and keeping number 55 who signed with the Thunder. I'm spacing on his name. I thought they would be better. Hartenstein doing that. Obviously, they got Bridges, BTW, Miles Bridges' mom. I'm a big fan of Cynthia. She's a little vixen. Make sure to check her out. But, I'm telling you, the jumper, I think the bigger issue with the Knicks now is he going to stretch out Porzingis. Yeah, he'll take Porzingis away from the rim, but I still think he's a defensive liability. I don't think he gets them a step closer to winning a championship. And I think the bigger thing is Miles Bridges, his jumper is broken. Like his jumper has looked broken. And if people are allowed to sag off of him, and Cat's shown last year he can't hit a 3, now you got 2 people out on the court who can't hit shots. That's going to clog up the middle for Bridges getting to the hole. So that's my big worry about the Knicks. I don't know. And the flip side for the T-Wolves, it's an interesting trade just because is Dante DiVincenzo, who views himself as a 2 on a team, is he going to accept his role? Hey, I'm going to try to win a championship on Minnesota. I'm going to be the spark plug I'm going to be the guy off the bench. This is going to be mine. I'm going to be the second unit. Is he going to accept that role? Because he views himself that he should be the second best player on the team, the 2B, if you will. Yeah. Is he going to accept that role? If he accepts that role, what was missing for Minnesota last year was that second unit score. You can't rely on Walker Alexander to be your second unit scorer. You need someone like a Dante DiVincenzo. If he accepts that role, that's great. And I think that will help him. Randall, I mean, what has he done in the playoffs? I think they would have been better if they could move Randall, get another wing player, and then you have Reed, who, in my eyes, in a playoff setting, better proven shooter, better proven rebounder, better proven defender.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same mode of your thinking, and it's kind of funny because you were saying DiVincenzo thinks of himself as a 2. The problem for me is, even though everybody knows it's AE's team and Julius Randle knows that, I'm sure Julius Randle still thinks of himself as a 1 because that's what he's always thought of himself as. But on the New York side, I definitely didn't understand it. Like you said, I would have never thought like, oh, we want to, we got championship aspirations. The missing pieces, Carl Anthony Towns. And then on the flip side, you take away Carl Anthony Towns, who can kind of spread the floor and keep the paint less congested, since you already got Rudy on the court. And then you add Randall with Anthony Edwards, and I came on the pod and I was like, I feel like this is a lose-lose for both teams. I don't see how either team really got better compared to what they were last year. Minnesota obviously makes it to the Western Conference Finals. Great defensive team. AE's first deep playoff run. Good experience for him. I thought I've been a big proponent of getting rid of Cat, but I was more in the mind frame that you get rid of Cat, you get, some more guards or wing pieces to go with AE, and you bring in Naz Reid, because I feel like Naz Reid, given the opportunity, could be a starting 4 stretch in this league, because I feel like he's got the same skill set as Cat, and he's cheaper. And then New York, it's like a lot of the talk last year was about Jalen Brunson not being the 1A guy because he's a small guard. Small guard hasn't won an NBA title besides Steph Curry, who's obviously an outlier. Since Isaiah Thomas days, it's not really going to happen. Pairing him with Carl Anthony Towns, that doesn't really change anything in my eyes, especially in the East. And relative to how they've been using him, I know it's the beginning of the year, so they got to, get some chemistry down. They don't even seem to be using him to what his skill set is. They got Carl Anthony Towns truly trying to play the 5 and a big inside the paint, and that's just not his game. You do that, you're going to end up with more and more memes of him trying to back someone down, struggling, and the player guarding him is just sitting there like all nonchalant because he can't move them. It just doesn't work. Like I said, Miles Bridges, for whatever reason, changed the shot. It's broke. And I honestly think both these teams do worse than what they did last year relative to, playoff terms. And I honestly, I called it. I think the Knicks have the ability to possibly. It's gonna be hard since the East is so garbage starting off. So they should still make it, but they're gonna be at the end of the standings. I feel like with that team and that roster, and I don't think they're good either way. So what about you, Kim? I know we talked about this obviously, but 2 weeks in, has anything on your opinion changed? Because Knicks currently sit 3-3, Timberwolves 4-3. Both teams have kind of look off. And of course, like I said, it's early chemistry. I get it, but these pieces don't seem to gel well on either side for both teams.
Yeah, I mean, that I was big on this trade. Like I like both sides of the trade or whatever. I think right now it's kind of too early to tell. I think both trades, both pieces or whatever, they're trying to gel right with the team. Both coaches trying to find what rotations are is best for the team or whatever. I think towards like mid-season, like after All-Star break, we'll finally understand or know what both these teams are, like what identity both these teams are. Right now, I feel like it's just it's too early to tell. But before it is right now, the Knicks, they don't really look good right now. I know Carl just had we had a 40-point game the other day. But other than that, he hasn't really looked well. He hasn't really gelled well with the Knicks. I thought, with the addition with him, he'll open up the floor a little bit for Jalen Brunson to get his shot off, or to play making and create for other guys to get open. But it just hasn't worked right now. But like I said, I think for right now, for the Knicks, definitely they just need to keep gelling, and when All-Star break hits, that's when we'll find out identity for them. And for the T-Wolves part, I think they'll end up winning this trade. I'm not really a big Randall fan, but he has shown me that he can bring scoring next to and in different ways that Cat couldn't really bring. He can score off the dribble. He can spot up and shoot. Not obviously not like Cat, but like a little bit lower than Cat. I can't really explain it, but he can spot up and shoot. He can create his own shot. He can create for others also. He's a decent rebounder. And like I also said, he can he brings toughness to the team that the T-Wolves needed. They needed some toughness that Cat obviously did not bring at all. And then you add Dante. I think Dante's still finding his footing with the second group. I would like to see Dante be a little bit more aggressive off the second group because they're gonna need like other than Nas coming off the bench, or whatever, they're gonna need like a guy that's gonna go out there and give them 15, 20 consistently. And right now, I'm not really giving him that. He's kind of shooting a little bad, or whatever. But I think I think it'll pick up a little bit. But I like this trade for the T-Wolves more than the Knicks, but I think both teams need a little bit more jelly. It's too early to say like both teams will be bad necessarily, but I can definitely see them being bad. But me personally, I can't see it, so I don't know.
Okay.
We'll see.
Okay, well, let me pose this question for both of y'all then. Do you feel like this Timberwolves team now is better than the Timberwolves team last year that made the conference finals? And same question for the Knicks. Do you feel like the Knicks now with Karl-Anthony Towns are better than the Knicks roster they had last year that went to Game 7 in the semis and almost made the conference finals?
Talent-wise, I think so. For both teams. I mean, you add for T-Wolves, you add Julius, you add Dante. That right there is a boost over over one guy with over Cat or whatever that they traded away. And then you still got those young guys that they for some reason still hasn't played, and Rob and
it got to be defense. I feel like
it has to, because I feel like you can still like throw them in and see what they got, because they like I've texting you guys. I was like, they can still go in and like bring some type of creative offense that they just haven't necessarily seen from other guys on the team, like a Alexander Gilchrist, whatever.
Alexander Walker.
Yeah, Alexander Walker. Yeah. So yeah, like definitely Rob. He can definitely bring like a different scoring creativity than him. Same with Shannon. He can come off the bench. He's somewhat a high flyer also. He can shoot the ball well too. So I don't really know why those two guys haven't played, but talent wise, I think both teams talent wise are better than last year, in my opinion.
Okay. What about you, Eric? How you feel about
I think the Timberwolves are in a better position to do something in the playoffs. Just the whole Cat thing just really didn't work for me. Now you got Randall, who is a little bit more versatile defender. The lane won't be clogged up. True power forward, not really a center like Cat is. And if Dante can be the wing scorer, that's what they were lacking last year in the playoffs. They would go through these big droughts, and we all know you can't be a big be your go-to guy in the playoffs on the second unit. In terms of the Knicks, I love Brunson. Brunson grew up in my neck of the woods where I'm living right now, but I'm just not a Cat guy. I think that they have a team with OG, Brunson, Hart. Just with this Towns piece, I just don't like, though. I just don't like this Towns piece. Like I said, if they kept Isaiah Hartenstein, I would like this team a lot better. And then when you just kind of look at their bench, like hypothetically, what are their pieces? They're not that deep of a team. McBride, Payne, Kolek, Sims, Toppin, their bench just isn't that deep. And I think at the end of the day, that's just what's going to cost them. They just don't have enough talent from 6 to 12.
And God forbid, we all know how Tibbs operates. He's going to run those players into the ground. So by the time an 82-game season is played, if any of them are worn down or, knock on wood, hopefully it doesn't have, but injured, that bench, that's what carries you in the playoffs. It's the role players in the bench that gets you through a deep playoff run, and they definitely don't have that. And yeah, Cam, me and you have went at this for the last year and a half or so. I'm just not a Cat believer. I just don't think he's a winner in the NBA. I believe it's year 10 now for Cat. What you see is what you get. Yeah, it's been it's year 9 or it might be year 9. I think he came in the 2016 draft, maybe.
Jesus, that's a long time.
Yeah,
But he came in like he was 18 or 19, right?
Yeah, he came in, after freshman year at Kentucky. But I mean, he's a vet now. Like, it's not like, his game got so much room to grow. Like, I mean, he is what he is, and that is he's gonna have those random nights in the regular season where he could give you 40, 50. And then come playoff time, when ball gets a little tougher, less fouls are called, and you need some muscle, you need some of that, dog in you, which I do think Julius Randle gives him more dog. I do like the point you made there. Cat just doesn't have that. And especially in New York, I feel like come playoff time, it's gonna be brutal for him with those fans if he does some of the Cat things we've seen in the past. So yeah, that's how I'm feeling on that one. I do like the fact that like, I've seen some people complaining because I think, what was it, the first or second game, Anthony Edwards had like 15 3-point attempts. And they're like, what are they doing? It's like, okay, yeah, like 15 is a bit much, but he's hitting them at a good clip. And like the team needs that because Karl-Anthony Towns is gone. That was part of what he brought. Julius Randle can knock him down here and there, but he's not as efficient. Anthony Edwards, he's not, Klay Thompson or anything, but he can shoot the ball. Like, yeah, this is what we wanted. He's, young, stepping into his role. This is his team, becoming a starting league. I want him to take those shots. I want him to be aggressive because this is what we said last year. This is like, we felt like Cat was stealing some of his shots and, stealing some of the ball time. It's like, okay, Anthony Edwards now got rid of him. Julius Randle is the clear 2. You take over, do your thing. Like, I love it personally. I don't take, I'm not opposed to it. Now, if the shots aren't falling, yeah, get to the rim. Don't just rely on the jump shot because, of course, he is a talented slasher as well. But I'm not too mad at the increase in 3-point attempts because I feel like that's you need it in today's league. Given how Mazzulla has broken the game.
I was just about to say thank you to the Boston Celtics. They literally everybody's seeing that 3 matters more than 2.
Yeah.
You see what the Cavs doing, bro? Like, you have to everybody is shifting to taking a shit ton of threes now, and hey, it might be good for the league, it might be bad for the league. So
all I know is 3 is worth more than 2.
3 is worth more than 2.
The people at the top right now can shoot a whole lot of threes in Boston. But we're gonna switch it over to our next topic. I want to ask you guys, so far, which NBA team has surprised you the most, and which NBA team has been your biggest disappointment so far 2 weeks into the season? Erik, as a guest, you first.
Biggest shock, Cam mentioned it, the Cavs. Second, points per game. First, field goal percentage. Second, 3-pointers. This team is shooting lights out. Are they going to be able to sustain, keep this shooting standard up? The thing when you look at their stats that kind of worries me is this team is elite field goal shooting team, elite 3-point shooting team. 25th in the league in 3-throw shooting. So, I mean, that's kind of an outlier that kind of sticks out to me. Is that 3-throw shooting going to move up? Field goal shooting move down? Like, where's the medium with all that? Or do they just have some bad 3-throw shooters? Like, Allen, Mobley, etc. Also, they're 25th in rebounding. How can you be 25th in rebounding with Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley? Yeah. You got 2 big guys, but I've watched him play twice. I watched him play the Bucks the other day where they won at home, and I watched him play the Pistons. Ball's moving good. Garland and Mitchell finally look like they're working cohesively. Mobley looks like he's taken another big step forward in his game. Really, really surprised with the Cavs. My disappointment is kind of more of a player. It's the fact my boy Paolo Banchero got hurt. I was really high on the Magic team. When he got hurt, he was averaging 29, 8.8 rebounds, 5.6 assists. He was on his way to an NBA season. I think the Magic were on their way to being a top 4 seed. Now he's out for 4 to 5 more weeks.
Yeah,
and that team is just going to be 2 against the 8 ball to kind of do anything. They're going to be battling for that 6th seed, I feel, because Franz Wagner just isn't that guy. they just don't have that extra guy that can be that scorer that can do everything Paulo can do. And then when he comes back, I mean, that's an oblique. He's going to be pressing. It could lead to another injury. I was really high in this Magic team, so they're kind of, I guess I would say they're my disappointment just because I feel that we're not going to see how good they could have been this year's Thunder. You know what I mean? A team that kind of came out of the blue and was a top 3 seed.
I think all of us too had the Magic in our top 4. I think Chris might have had him top 3, top 2, but we were all basically all in on Paolo. We were giving him, kind of a dark horse run for MVP candidate. And of course it's just 2 weeks, but he was definitely on his way. Well, he had was a 50-point game literally right before. And just to kind of even touch more on how much the offense is affected, the 2 games he's been out, the Magic haven't scored over 86 points. Like in today's NBA, that you cannot win if you're not scoring, high 90s. Basically, you got to get 100 most nights. And for them to not even cross the 90 threshold just shows how much offense he was creating, not only with scoring himself, but just setting up others on the team. They were looking, to mesh well, get some chemistry with Caldwell Pope, veteran addition this year. Yeah, that sucks. I remember I was sitting at my desk, I think, and Chris texted the group chat with the news, and I was like, dang, what happened? Like, oblique. I'm like, well, before I even saw the timeline, I was like, well, that's definitely not good. Like, oblique, that can't be anything quick. So hopefully he rest up and is able to heal pretty soon, get back in there, and the Magic can kind of stay afloat. Luckily for them, there's only 2 teams in the East that are above 500 right now. So it might not be too hard to,
I don't know how the game numbers work out, but if they do so poorly, he comes back and they kind of mess around, make a run. I mean, maybe that could make a case for his MVP with how bad they've been playing without him. I don't know game wise if he'd qualify because what is it, 75 or 70 games?
I think isn't it in the high 60s? I want to say it's like 65 or something. Yeah, 65, I think, but I'm not too sure. But yeah, no, that could definitely be a case because I mean they're gonna keep dropping games like 85 points scored, and then they come back and it immediately shoots back up to 105, 110, and he's the catalyst. You got every right to say he is the MVP, but so far 2 weeks in, Cam, who's your biggest disappointment? That could be team or player.
I was gonna say the Bucks. I feel like that's kind of too easy to say, so I'm gonna go with another team. I know they're 4-3 right now, but they just haven't looked right. I'm gonna go with the Denver Nuggets. Jokic is kind of just carrying them right now on his back, and it's kind of funny to see. But yeah, I think they're definitely the biggest disappointment right now. I expected them to be a little bit better than what they were. MPJ hasn't really been shooting great. He's averaging like 17 or something like that. But he just hasn't been, the same MPJ. Then Jamal Murray completely has fell off a cliff. Like he has not looked good whatsoever. Christian Braun actually has looked really great in his new role that he's a starter or whatever. So he's looked very, very good right now. Hopefully, he keeps things going. But other than that, it's just been Jokic and Christian Braun that's been kind of carrying them guys. Russ, I think he had like a couple of good games, but other than that, he hasn't really looked that great or whatever. The depth I feel like it's just not there that that we usually seen of these Denver Nuggets teams. So I feel like that's been kind of they've been kind of like the biggest disappointment to me.
Yeah, so you think it's the Russell effect?
It might be the Russ effect, man. Hey, like I said with the Lakers.
What was the tweet? you get rid of Caldwell Pope, you add Russell Westbrook,
yeah. You fall off. You fall off immediately.
So for me, it's minus the Celtics and the Cavaliers. It is the whole Eastern Conference, man. Like how I don't know if it's what the statistical fact is, but I swear in all my years of watching the NBA, it's never been to the point where 2 weeks into the season, a whole conference is under 500. That makes no sense to me. And I know like Magic probably wouldn't be in that, scenario if Paolo doesn't go out. But still, like I came on the pod for, our NBA preview episode, and I was like, man, I don't know who is really gonna challenge the Celtics. Like they literally best team from top to bottom, deep roster. At every point, every lineup they use, all five guys can shoot the three, and that's what they love to do. I don't think Eastern Conference team can compete. And y'all were like, no, so they're not just gonna be able to cakewalk everybody. I'm like, I don't know, because the East does not look good. Give me a team. And we talked about the Knicks, talked about the Heat, we talked about, the Bucks, the 76ers. None of those teams are good besides the Cavaliers. But even then, I'm hesitant to buy into the Cavaliers because I feel like I've seen this story before too. Donovan Mitchell leading a really good team that's going to finish top 2 in their conference and then immediately drop a dud in the playoffs. Back, throwing it back to his Utah days when they were always top in the West and then they didn't do anything come playoff time. So I'm just like, Eastern Conference, you got to do better. This is unacceptable. I mean, I told y'all I wasn't a believer in the Pacers, really. I thought last year was really a fluke and they weren't going to be able to repeat what they did last year. They're not looking good. Halliburton isn't looking anything like he did to start off last year. I know the NBA in-season tournament is about to kick up, pretty soon. So maybe that will increase some of the competitiveness and we'll see more teams, playing better ball. But 2 weeks into the season, man, this just looks really pitiful. And as of right now, it looks like the Celtics are about to have another cakewalk en route to Eastern Conference title and back in the NBA Finals to take on whoever comes out the West. So Eastern Conference, yeah, get it together. That's my biggest disappointment. On the flip side, what's your one of the biggest surprises or one of the nice surprises you guys feel like 2 weeks into the season?
It was definitely the Cavs for sure. But there, I watched that. I watched when they played against the Lakers, and they just came out on fire. I'm like, Darius Garland, I believe, got in foul trouble that game, so he didn't really kind of like really do much. It was Donovan Mitchell. I was like, bro, he's playing out of his mind right now. And I mean, they kind of follow in suit of what the Celtics are doing, just taking a bunch of threes, and they're hitting them. Evan Mobley's playing incredible right now. So yeah, I definitely would say the Cavs.
Pistons, man. Pistons are looking good, dude. They went into Philly, got the win in Philly, beat the Nets, beat the Lakers, won 3 of their last 4. Just having those young guys around, as crazy as it sounds, Tobias Harris, someone who's a pro, someone who like knows what to do. You know what I mean? Instead of having all these young guys, bringing in a Tim Hardaway Jr., bringing in a Tobias Harris, veteran guys that can teach these young guys the right way to do it. And can everyone take my word now that Monte Williams isn't a good coach?
Yeah.
I mean, he was ready to run. He didn't think Ivory should be on the court. Ivory is right now playing at a top 50 player level in the league.
And look, I gotta go. I hope the success continues because I gotta go find the clip because I had the Pistons finishing top 6, maybe top 5 in the East this year. And one of my big proponents was I was like, Jaden Ivey is in the rotation now that Monty Williams is out, and he's really good as a 2 next to Cade Cunningham. What do you know? They're utilizing him. Pistons do look really good, and I mean, the East is literally just top heavy right now. It's wide open for them to shoot up the rankings if they just keep handling business. So I definitely like the Pistons too. For me, it's got to be OKC. I thought I didn't think they were going to be bad. I thought they were going to be good, but the fact that they're undefeated to start off the season, I was kind of a bit worried because the trend has been we'll have these young teams like shoot up the rankings one year, kind of take everybody by surprise, and the next year they kind of fall off because now the league is prepared for them. We've seen it with Memphis, we've seen it with Sacramento, and now OKC kind of fit that mold last year. Kind of took over the West, made it to the playoffs. Gave Dallas some competition, and then coming in this year, they returned everybody. They probably had arguably the best NBA offseason with their their additions in Caruso and Hartenstein, which Hartenstein been injured, hasn't even played yet. Caruso isn't doing too much right now, but their roster is deep. And I think it was Draymond that made the comment the other week talking about, their post-game pressers and how they act, and that, that's not good, like they're childish. I'm like, hey, the team, they're young, they're flying with energy. They seem to truly enjoy each other's presence. The team chemistry is great, and they're killing it right now. And honestly, like if they're gonna keep doing this thing and take first place, get home court advantage in the Western Conference, given the experience they were able to gain last year, this team is really dangerous. And I know it will kind of upset you, Eric. I don't know if you put in the bet again this year, but I know last year you had the long shot odds for OKC to win the NBA Finals, but this year they look like they could be prime competition for someone like the Celtics if that were to be the NBA Finals series. So I'm surprised, happy to see them still hooping and backing it up, because like last year they take off, and then this year now Shy in every single commercial, Chet doing his thing. They paid all their young guys too, but they haven't taken a step back. They haven't gotten the big head. It seems like they literally a young AU team, it seems like, in the NBA.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like watching them and watching how they interact with each other. So
hey, Chet
he looks good.
Woo! Yeah. Like he might be defensive player of the year type of good.
Man, and look, I know Chris ain't on. I don't know if he's watching or tuned in, but I remember when Chet got hurt to start off his rookie year and couldn't play, and Chris was like, "Man, he not gonna be good." I'm like, "Bro, Chet, he's gonna be fine. Like he can hoop. I trust. Like I'm not saying he gonna like beef up and be some swole big man, but he can hoop. Like given the right team, I think OKC with him and Shaq was like they can be a 1-2 punch in this league that's extremely dangerous, and they looking every bit of that right now. Like I said, young, up and coming, don't know no better, got some playoff experience under the belt. That's a dangerous team. They're playing with house money, like
yeah.
And they probably got one of the top 3 coaches in the game right now in Dagnall. So yeah, but yeah, that's the biggest surprises and disappointments. Now, Eric, I gotta swing it to you, man. On one side, your Pistons look good.
Yep.
But on the other side, what is going on with those Milwaukee Bucks, man?
Connington and Portis were great when they won a title. They would not have won a title without those guys. But athleticism falls off a cliff fast. And those guys defensively just don't have it anymore. And they're getting burned when the second unit comes in. They need to become more athletic. And the sad thing is the answer is right on the bench. You need to cycle in. You need to play AJ Green and Andre Jackson more. Jackson, he can defend all the positions. He can pick people up in the full court. What he's able to do defensively, few people in the league can do. Shot is a work. They need to work on the shot. Green has the shot and has the defensive skills. Why these two aren't playing more, I don't know. And they're going to have to look to do something. They were in a position to win Monday night against the Cavs. Portis missed a couple looks. Obviously, Giannis wasn't there. Giannis and Dame, I mean, they've been playing great, and they literally didn't practice with each other all summer. It's just and Middleton's been out. They just haven't had enough athleticism on the court defensively, and those two guys are going to need to see more minutes, or they're going to have to make some sort of move and look to move a Portis if they can find someone to take him. But it's important to remember that way back when this team started 1-5, 3-9, but they ended the season with 52 wins, and they lost in Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals to the 76ers. That was during the Ray Allen days. So, I mean, it's possible they have turned it around. I wouldn't start hitting the panic button yet, just because it's so early in the season, and it's just weird things are going wrong. Like last Monday, Dame drove to the hole Jackson was cutting, Dame threw the pass, and Jackson just missed it. Those things are going to start to right themselves. They're getting open looks. They're doing the right thing. Shots just aren't falling, but they do need to play Jackson and Green a little bit more.
So you don't think, don't hit the panic button. So you don't think there's any kind of realness to the whole Giannis trade rumors, or he might want out, or?
It's funny to me because all these NBA insiders that are tweeting about the Giannis trades, I've never heard before in my life.
Yeah.
Like I've never heard of these guys of breaking any news. And these rumors don't get out unless there's a reason. Who's leaking these out? It doesn't strike me that Giannis would be a guy that would be saying something like this. You know what I mean? I don't think the Bucks would be saying something like this. Obviously, one of those teams, probably Miami, is the one putting this in the news cycle.
I think I seen one rumor that said of 2 teams that he would want to go to, the Brooklyn Nets were one of them. And I'm like,
why?
Giannis's whole motive is he wants to win a championship. At least that's what he says. Why on earth would he ever utter the words, "Yeah, trade me to Brooklyn"? That literally made no sense. But yeah, I mean, it's like you said, I think it's a lot of weird stuff happening. You look at the box score, you see Dame 37, Giannis 35. Like, they're putting up their numbers. It's just the supporting cast right now trying to find their groove. I think they can turn around too. The only problem is for me is it's not even the players. You got Doc Rivers as a coach, and I just feel like at this point, this has to be Doc Rivers' last NBA head coaching job. The game has passed him by. Yes,
please.
You know, he's an NBA player, you know, NBA champion head coach. That was going on 16 years ago. Celtics won in 2008 with him. It's a wrap, man. Given his track record in recent history, you know, like he just can't. There's no excuse for him to keep going. I just think you got to get younger. He seems very reluctant to adapt to, you know, modern day NBA. Not saying he's, you know, the worst coach, but he doesn't have what it takes to elevate a team anymore. And I feel like, you know, this year doesn't somehow result in an NBA championship for the Milwaukee Bucks.
But I mean, I think it also points to the thing, like, don't give up on a coach too soon. As much as everyone wants to give Bud shit, that year they lost in the first round, Giannis got hurt. Like, if Giannis doesn't get hurt, who knows how that's going to turn out. And I will, to this day, the Heat aren't making that run if Tyler Hero doesn't get hurt. When he's on the court, there's no ball movement. It's just him dribbling. I think obviously him getting hurt, Giannis getting hurt kind of helped that situation. Now you look what Bud's doing, obviously short sample size, but you look what Bud's doing in Phoenix now. I mean, what are they, 6-1, 7-1 to start the season?
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously, if you got a coach, you know, and you're constantly winning, grass isn't greener on the other side.
Yeah, I mean, Adrian Griffin, I know they said with the problems they said they were, but were they 31-13 when he was fired last year?
Yeah.
So, yeah, grass ain't always greener, but I mean, it will never be confirmed, but we know Giannis had to make that call because you don't make that, you know, move unless Giannis approves, because that is the franchise right there. But that's why, you know, they are in the position they are in today. But yeah, Kim, what about you? What do you think is wrong with Milwaukee? What could be possible fixes? And do you think, like, because I mean, like we said, East is wide open besides the Celtics and Cavs at the top. There is not like, even though they're 1-6, it's not like they're so far away from being a top 4 seed. It's literally a matter of a handful of games. And a long NBA season, Giannis and Dame keep playing well. If those, you know, role players can pick it up, they can very much be right there, top 4, top 3, you know, how they usually are every year. So is there any hope or optimism in your eyes, or are you kind of worried about Milwaukee?
There's no hope. It's dead. They're quite literally the worst team in the NBA, bro. They have the worst 2 coaches. Doc Rivers is awful. He's been an overrated coach.
Oh yeah,
bro. I've never liked Doc Rivers, bro. I've never liked Doc. He's such an overrated coach. He does nothing for any team he's ever coached. He's got carried since he was with the Magic, bro. Like, that Magic team wasn't that great, but the Celtics, he got carried thin. He got carried with the Clippers. He got carried with the 76, and then he's awful. He's awful. Then you pair him with Darvin Ham. Come on, we just see what Darvin Ham did with the Lakers. They're awful. Two horrible coaches. Giannis looks out of it. He doesn't even look like he wants to even play for the Bucks anymore. I don't know, man. I don't see this turning around anytime soon. Unless they fire Doc Rivers during the season, which would be crazy. But
Would that mean they were on the books to pay 3 coaches that aren't coaching them anymore?
Like, what is it? Bud, AJ Griffin. That'd be 4.
4, yeah. Cause I'm forgetting about Bud. Oh my god.
So there's literally no way. I don't know where they can go from here. Actually, I do know where they can go. It's time to trade Giannis. It's time.
Okay, but what do you trade him for?
Oh, it's easy. I got this. Send him to Houston. Listen.
No,
send him to Houston.
Okay,
no,
can we send Fred VanVleet? Can we send? I'm for it if we can send away Fred.
Hear me out. Listen, bro. You gotta think. Houston is the capital of the Nigerians, bro. Listen, hear me out. It's the capital of the Nigerians. So, he gonna love Houston off rip. Because, Houston got the culture with the Nigerians or whatever. You got Ime. He's a Nigerian. You got Hakeem. Hakeem be working out with Giannis. So, he a Nigerian. You got the Nigerians over there. So, you got that going or whatever. And then Houston already, they have, like, the young pieces to send to Milwaukee that these other teams don't have. I mean, look, you can add Sengun in there. You can add Jabari in there.
You trying to get rid of Sengun?
Yeah, Sengun gotta go. Look, listen, Ime does not like Sengun, bro. I've been watching the Rockets since the beginning.
That's a problem. That's one of the problems.
No, bro, he doesn't come in. He doesn't come into the season in shape. He doesn't come into the season well conditioned. He's kind of lazy defensive wise. Ime doesn't like that at all. So look, I think it'll be Sengun, Jabari, Cam Whitmore because for whatever reason, Ime is not playing Cam Whitmore for whatever reason. He literally played no minutes last game. Cam Whitmore and probably like that Nets pick. I think that should do it for a prime Giannis right now. So I would like to see Giannis in Houston. It's the capital of Nigeria, man. It's the capital of the Nigerians.
I'm not necessarily buying it for my Rockets, but if we are to make a trade with them, somehow, some way, Fred VanVleet needs to be included in the trade package. If that means adding a third NBA team to the mix, do it. I'm so tired of seeing him take up precious minutes from some of these young guys that are clearly way more talented. I think Fred is shooting 28% and below at every single clip in the paint, mid-range, 3-point. It is god awful right now, and Ime refuses to bench him and play someone like Reed Shepard.
He's a veteran, bro.
It's driving me insane, bro.
Yeah, you're paying like what, $20 million a season to?
Exactly, and I literally tried to say that on the opening episode when we talked to me. I was like, bro, I'm not gonna believe in us at all because I know we're gonna play VanVleet to the death of us, and it's not gonna go well. It's simply not. He had one magic run that year the Raptors won it, and he's been living off that ever since. He's gotten 2 NBA contracts off that series alone versus the Warriors, and he has never been the same player. So shout out to his agent, finessing those deals. But yeah, no, I just want VanVleet off my team. But we're about to wrap it up here quick. We're going to add our, we got some NBA plays for tomorrow. Like I said, no NBA games tonight for Election Day, but NBA picking back up tomorrow, November 6th. We each got to play. Swan, who wasn't able to hop on, he's got to play as well, so I'll give that out for y'all. And then we're all going to move over to Erik, so I'm posting the link in the chat right now. Y'all head over to his channel. me and Cam will be there to chop it up about, NFL Week 9 and as well as look ahead to a couple Week 10 bets. If you can't access the link, just the @ on the screen under his picture and on the banner at the bottom at eToff21 Sports. Definitely go give him a subscription as well.
Real quick. Have you guys seen Skip Bayless's Twitter account today?
Yes, I just seen it when I got back from work, and yeah.
You see those bookmarks?
Oh my god, crazy, absolutely crazy. Oh man, but yeah, man. So these are what we got for you guys. NBA bets for 11-6. I'm going with Boston -6.5 versus the Warriors at home. I think this is a nice little bounce back spot for them. Dropped a tough one to the Indiana Pacers after being down quite a bit, made a rally at the end. I think Boston, they still got, kind of a salty taste in their mouth, from how the Warriors did them in 2022 in the finals. That obviously, got them to the point, where they win the NBA championship last year. They learned from it. They became better. I think it's going to be raining threes galore from the very jump. I don't think this is going to be a game at all. And Steph still is, not playing as many minutes. He's still getting, healthier. Played, I think, like 24 minutes or so the other night. Boston's able to put it on them early and stay on them. Steph is gonna, Kerr's gonna put Steph on the bench, and that'll be that. As for Cam, he's going with the Clippers to beat Philadelphia. Where he said, with the news of the Embiid suspension, he's fading Philly until otherwise. Philly has not looked good at all to start this year. I know, Eric, you have the ticket for Philly not making the playoffs. That looks great right now.
Plus 850.
Plus 850. So, yeah, man. And then Cam, go ahead and touch on your bet, man. You rolling with your boys, I see.
Yeah, we're rolling with the Lake Show, man, versus the Grizzlies. That should be a good game. It's a bounce back game for the Lakers. I believe AD he should be questionable for this game. I know he's dealing with, I think it was a hamstring injury. I'm not too sure what it is. But you can, it was like a video or whatever that's out on Twitter right now. A reporter asking LeBron, how would it be like playing without AD or having AD injured or whatever. And LeBron kind of like looked at him like, what you think? Like, like what you think?
What kind of question is that?
Yeah, like what kind of question is that? And you can hear AD in the background. It's like, no, I'm playing. Like, I'm not sitting out. So AD should be playing. I don't think there's nobody on the Grizz second that can hold AD. So I got the Lakers money line, man.
Okay, yeah. And with that, Eric, you'll end the podcast off as our guest. What is your pick for NBA tomorrow?
I hate doing this because I hate the Hornets, but I'm taking the Hornets -1.5. Pistons, they're my squad, but the spot says to fade them here. This is their 4th game in 6 nights. Last 20 years, a team that won as a dog at home, like the Pistons just did, being the Lakers, and then being a small dog on the road, 40, that's 3 or less, 44% against the number last 20 years. Hornets due for some positive shooting aggression. They are the 9th best 3-point shooting team in the league, 2nd most threes per game, and they're coming off a game where they shot their worst game of the season, 24% against the Wolves. When you look at their splits, they shoot 8% better at home than they do on the road. So I think this is just a bounce back spot for them, and I think it's a letdown spot for the Pistons. Pistons have won 3 out of 4 back-to-back wins as underdogs against the Nets and the Lakers. Now having to travel down to Charlotte and then back to Detroit. The spot just says to fade them, so I'll take the Hornets -1.5.
Well, we appreciate you for hopping on, Eric. Definitely got to have you on, to come talk football for our crowd, here in the future. But if y'all haven't heard what I just said and you're just now tuning in, we're about to wrap up this show, but we are headed over to Eric's pod right now after this ends to talk NFL Week 9 and Week 10. So again, link is in the comments below. If not, follow or go to his channel at eToff21 Sports, as you see on the banner. We appreciate y'all if y'all listen all the way through. It is your favorite kids from the neighborhood, Bryce and Dog Cam, our special guest, Erik at eToff21 Sports. Again, head over to his pod right now. It's going to be a nice little hour chopping up about football. Got a lot to talk about there. Another amazing weekend If y'all haven't, follow us on Twitter. Follow us on our Moneyline Go, giving out winning plays. We hit big. I hit big yesterday. Thank God for overtime. Mahomes ladder cashed out big. DeAndre Hopkins, anytime touchdown was so free. Knew with the week practice that Andy had something drawn up for him, and he ended up getting 2. But yeah, man, we appreciate y'all listening all the way through. Head over to Erik's channel. We'll see y'all there. Peace. I need it.